Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's wrong. Okay, redirecting to YouTube. All I have to do is, well, shoot, it didn't ask me that time whether it be public or private. Crap. How do I make this private? Public. Damn it. Here, try this one, and then I'm gonna give up.
So David gave you this idea literally 8 minutes or no, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well, that's some agility. What do you want me to? All right.
No, that one I think because it auto previewed, I think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey everybody. Now they're gonna get to see how the sausage is made. So I'm gonna press record.
Oh, wait, hold on. I gotta. Oh God, it's just,
dude, I'm gonna press record. Like, this is the stuff. This is bonus material they're not gonna see until I press record.
what? It's
streaming. Are you ready?
It's live streaming. What are you talking about? Yes,
I'm not. No,
like, you've already started the damn podcast.
I have. I'm
Go.
Going. Hey, Brent, how's it going?
It's going super, Alan.
I think. I think for a lot of folks, so there's so much going on. One, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Two, first ever live stream of an A/B testing podcast, something I think we should do much more often.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan, and the three for the spontaneous change.
There was a suggestion less than 10 minutes ago on you guys or something like some other podcast, live streams and edits. And I thought, and in that 10 minutes, I thought, oh, there's an idea. We're going to try this. So, yeah, we're doing it. And pandemic. And, oh, I was thinking just a minute ago that I'd like to think that there are people who discover our podcast and just binge our episodes one after the other and are going to be sad that we don't have a guest this time. We've had guests like the last three.
No, no, I think it's just fine.
Yeah, but because we're live streaming, everyone's our guest.
Yeah. Be our guest. Be.
See, normally I edit the singing out, but now it's all here for free. So
well, right. So is this part of it? Is this now like a new form strategy to edit out nothing? I mean, thank God I actually wore clothes today.
I'm not wearing pants, but so here's the deal with me. I can take my glasses off. I have to put my glasses on in order to see. Like, I can't work off my laptop now without glasses. So also something interesting, because we've had guests, we haven't had to come up with our agendas for a while. And because we don't have a guest and we're not used to this and we don't have a whiteboard, I don't know that we have an agenda. So this should be fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, the guest thing certainly reduced the tax on us, right? Now we were able to be more efficient. We don't have to, it's agile, right? As the principals say, we favor communication over documentation. So there's 5 minutes of documentation work now eliminated.
All right, but I'm lying here a little bit because I did post a couple things in our one of the three Slack that I thought we could talk about today.
No, I want to talk about, I think, the same one that you're thinking of. Right, it's how to take over the world via the PM org.
Well, it's not really a PM org, but I should talk about now. None of this is official, and I don't know who at Unity listens to my podcast, but I can talk about this abstractly and say that due to some org changes, I am going to end up, well, I should probably talk about background. So many of you know me as the hardcore software tester, Alan Page, the person who wrote How We Test Software at Microsoft. Actually, no, you do know me as that, but I have since moved on from that because, unlike some people in the testing world, I do not live in the past. I try and live in the present moment and look towards the future. That is it. That is about as passive of a dig as I can make on some folks. But Brent got the joke.
Yeah. Oh no, the three got it for sure. Um,
So, one thing, and let me just say this: when I began running infrastructure and DevOps orgs, I thought, wow, I have never had so much more control over quality as I do running a DevOps org and helping the team accelerate the achievement of shippable quality. And so that's all good. And then when I started doing air quote, oh, I can do, we're live. I can do air quotes.
air quote. Yeah. Ah, dude. Yeah, I can like do show and tell now.
A whole new world is opening up.
Yeah, like, hey, here's a cool book I got. No,
Also the cool thing is we're gonna have to make a live stream channel if we keep this up, because then people can ask us questions during the podcast. I should look at the live stream and see if there are questions there. Oh my gosh, so many things to do. I was in the middle of a story. So I DevOps, lots of control over quality. When I joined this role in my current org, I began doing program management. Well, I can't say I've ever done program management. When I took the role, when I was talking to my current boss about the role, he asked, hey, can you do program management? And every time in my career when I've been asked if I can do something, Alan, can you code an assembly? Alan, can you do whatever? My answer is always yes. Why, yes, I can. And then I figure it out as I go. There's sorry, I was going to do tangent inception, but I'm going to stop myself. So I spent the first chunk of my time figuring out not what program management was, because I could read things about that, but what my flavor on it was. And finally, after 8 or 9 months in the role, I told my boss, I said, I don't really know anything about program management. I'm coming clean. They said, oh, no problem. You know how to run systems and you're doing and you do that well. I go, oh, yes. That's a very lean and modern testing thing. I love systems thinking, and that's what I do. I figure out how all the pieces fit together. So now I say I have never had so much control over quality. In QA testing, SDETting for years, I have so much control over what we deliver, predictability and quality and velocity, running both DevOps and running systems. That's the program management part of my job. So what the change coming up for me is I'm on paper a director of program management. We're going to change that to director of engineering because I do more engineering work than program management, but I'm still in charge of running all of our systems and making sure the pieces all fit together of all of our different services and projects in flight. Going back, this is like the longest intro ever. People, and you can't watch a live stream on 1.5 speed. Sorry, folks. So short story is, with all that context in mind, I will be adding a few real, like I've talked to them, and they're kind of textbook program managers to my org. Not Microsoft program managers, but people who manage programs of projects, help the team, as far as I can tell, accelerate the achievement of quality. If any of you, I don't know if you've read this, Brent, you have no reason to, it's probably not. Johanna Rothman, who just writes book after good book, wrote a book called Agile and Lean Project Management, which I read so I could understand what I was supposed to do and then pick the parts of it that I liked and did those. But if I read that book and look at what the program managers who will be working for me are doing, it's textbook right there. And on what I think they're going to fill in the gaps that I know I have. They're going to learn to do things in the modern testing way. But one of the topics for today, and Brent is like, what, is Alan ever going to shut up so I can talk, is what I want to have a discussion about is how, like, we all know our mission remains the same. What advice, what ideas, etc., should we have for these folks in my org? How do I take the most advantage of them? blah, 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 etc. Okay, I'm done with the preamble. Brent, what are your thoughts?
Well, the first thing I was thinking, well, actually, a tangent. We'll have to figure out how we do Q&A because the stream does seem to be lagging, not by seconds, but like by minutes.
No, that's totally fine. They can ask questions, but you know what? If I just brought up the YouTube thing and they are adding comments and shit and all kinds of crap.
Oh no, I've already thanked the one of the three for this, for inspiring you for this wonderful surprise for me this morning. Again, thankful I wore clothes today.
So the fun part also is going to see, and probably nothing here so far is going to be edited, but for those that watch this and listen to the podcast, they're gonna go, wow, the podcast is way better than the live stream.
Yeah. And I'm quickly, oh, right there. That's the button for stop video. Found it. All right, back to the topic at hand. Like the first thing.
Oh, come on. This is A/B testing. We don't get back to the topic at hand. Just keep going.
Oh, okay. On that front, have you noticed anything new about my background today?
You're in your that's not a virtual background. You are in your office at Microsoft.
I am.
Dude, you are so gonna get COVID.
I am so much at a point where I don't care. As I think I mentioned, it has been having a non-trivial and extremely negative impact on my mental health. And right now, have you ever gone on taken vacation time just so that everyone would leave you alone so that you could get stuff done? Nope. Oh, well, I have.
Actually, I have taken, like, we had a 4-day weekend for July 4th, and because we get every time Unity there's a Monday off, we get the Friday off also. I worked both Friday and Monday. So I just don't take the days off I'm given in order to catch up on stuff.
It's not even on catch up. For me, so they did a survey here, and we'll get back to program management in a second. They did a survey here at Microsoft. They did a survey here at Microsoft around impact on COVID, and turns out 60% of the ICs, individual contributors that responded to that, said, oh yeah, they are having a satisfactory work-life balance. 44% of the managers said the same thing. And I was recently in a one-on-one with my VP, and I'm like, yeah, I am so far from that 44%. I can't even see them from where I stand. And I invented a term during that conversation. And I said, work-life balance, yeah, that's actually relatively easy to manage. What is completely out of whack for me is the talk-doing balance. Too much talking, not enough doing.
I think the way you put that about 4 or 5 episodes was too much talky, not enough doey.
Oh yeah. Yep. And I am now in a broader space. This is a recent change from my team where we're going into more and more higher scope, customer oriented investigations and work. And I don't know, dude. I am having meetings with program managers I have never met before from teams I didn't even know existed, just right after the other. So anyway, one thing that's very nice is right now, temporarily, in this entire building, I am the only one here.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I guess you can't catch COVID. But when that second person shows up, you're screwed.
Well, no. So then the other thing that's nice is the fact that I have an office. If I were in open space, then I would probably still be at home. All right. I'm if I leave my office, I got to put on my Darth Vader mask. Um, but other than that, I'm safe here.
I'm tangent after tangent. I want to talk about program managers, just as a reminder, but I'm going to the office on Monday. I'm just going for 5 minutes to grab all my stuff off my desk, and then I'm never returning. But yes.
Yeah, I actually last week I went home to get stuff to bring to my office. No, this is net better. All right, so segue back to your prior topic, right? Your manager said, "Hey, do you know how to manage a program management?"
Well, he didn't
Right.
ask me that. He asked me, I mean, he just assumes I can manage program managers, but
Well, and the reason why is, of course, you can.
well, of course, I mean, there's
the-
also, I mean, my team is glue and
is glue.
glue. Well, that's, I mean, it's between program management and DevOps and my quality coaches and even docs. It's like I provide the matrix org for all of the rest of the organization. Everybody else works on shipping stuff. I help them ship stuff safely and successfully.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say something snarky about program management, but I've changed
Again,
my
I
changed my
would,
mind.
based on my experience with the bastardization of the role at Microsoft, be very much welcomed.
What, snarkiness?
Yeah, because what program managers do at Microsoft is different than it's not program management. It's just it's a name they've given a bunch of people doing random stuff that sometimes is program management, but very often is not.
Yeah, no, a lot of the times, right? It's the snarky comment I was going to say is essentially, of course you can, right? A brain dead monkey could manage a program management org,
Oh, absolutely.
right? And
I have been compared to a brain dead monkey before, so that's on target.
By me on the podcast, I'm certain of it. The now we have talked about. So let me share with you what I'm about to do, and we'll see what happens in terms of the podcast. Actually, this is fascinating. So one of these buttons, right? If I hit share screen, I would theoretically be sharing screen and that would show up. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'm over the whole surprise of, hey, it's a video cast now. Now I'm all about, ooh, what new toys? Right. You have seen, although we're primarily a podcast, so I don't know how much I should focus on this.
This is special. I mean, people are going to listen to this on next week when it comes out. Who am I kidding? Everyone who downloads the podcast is already watching the live cast. But someone somewhere is going to listen to this some point and going, "Man, I'm missing out." Oh.
Yeah, no, actually, we should look at the stats on the podcast download and see if we took a hit. Because if all of our listeners are watching right now, why would they download?
It's going to go from 3 to 2.
Right.
Oddly, there are 13 of the 3 watching. I think some people are logged in on multiple machines.
All right. So you've seen this, right?
Of course.
A million times. Okay. Well, what we are actually trying to do now is push this further. I would say right now, my organization, I don't know if my mouse is coming across, but we're somewhere in between data affirmed and data driven.
Let me just take a moment here to pause and help the people who are actually listening to the podcast and not one of the 3 on the
Oh,
on
yeah.
the lately announced live stream. So this is the data maturity model that Brent, I think Steve Rowe came up with this, right?
No,
Or
this is
helped?
primarily mine, but Steve Rowe did add data affirmed.
So the
Yeah.
4 levels of data oblivious, when you just you're oblivious to data. Data affirmed, decisions made mostly by intuition, but you believe, and this is where a lot of teams I work with are, they only believe the data if it confirms intuition. Data driven, where decisions are made by intuition and data, and then data centric, where data analysis is core to most decisions. So we've talked about this before on the podcast. Drink,
Yep.
but it's a very nice graphic with colors and things. It's very pretty. So now, Brent, on to your remembering this is a podcast that happens to have a live stream and not a video cast. Please continue.
Yeah, that's too much of an ask for me, and I know you're aware of that. Um, the so now we think about what is the well, I'm thinking about what is the problem we're facing here. Okay, so first and foremost, there's a common thing within the PM org where they will go after the whales, right? And this is because they're trying to scale. Right, you have in a lot of businesses, you have just a handful of customers that are bringing in the most amount of revenue. Okay, now that most amount of revenue is not something that you can that your business would survive on if you lost everybody else. Typically, if you pull together a histogram, it'll come up and it'll show as a head tail curve. And this is a situation where in order to scale, they'll focus on the head. And more often than not, you'll find that between 3 to 5 to 7 times the thingies, whatever you're measuring with that histogram, are in the body and the tail than in the head. So you really cannot ignore that tail. But when you have so much manual work as a requirement for moving needles forward, you really can't scale to go and talk to every one of those customers. You end up focusing on the head. So it's around how do we scale? Okay. The second problem that we're working through is essentially confirmation bias, or it's closer to what is known as the Texas sharpshooter bias, which is essentially we see a behavior with PMs that have an intuition, and it might even be a variant of data affirmed, right? They have an intuition, and then they go and scan the data for the subset of data that proves their intuition. Right? Are you familiar with the Texas sharpshooter bias?
I am now. But,
It-
yes.
You think of it, they call it that way. You think of it as, a Texan shooting at a barn, and he's got his eyes closed and, hey, I can do this. Bang, 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 bang. He shoots at the barn. Okay. And then once all of his ammunition is gone, he goes and looks at the barn and then draws the target and explains to everybody how awesome of a shot he is. That behavior is happening. So where we're at is trying to figure out how to use the data and convert it to benefits to the customer. I mean, that's rather generic. I think everyone's trying to do that to some degree. And here is the single most interesting problem that I will be facing in the next 6 months. Microsoft Azure, for example, has a lot of problems.
And again, just as a quick reminder for everyone, Azure is like AWS or GCP. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Except Azure continuously threatens to take over AWS, and no one actually talks about GCP. The now, and as a side note, IBM has one as well that just came out of nowhere.
Oh, and there's a lot of smaller ones out there too. But anyway, I don't want to go
Okay.
into a tangent because I'm unsure where this story is going.
No, so it's essentially my mission is essentially to guide the PMs on effective usage of data to drive better, more valuable backlogs. Okay. Now, the thing is, after I get that rolling, and I've already talked with my VP, like one of the things that's going to happen as a result is it's going to force a requirement on the engineering teams to be significantly more adaptable. And that will probably create a few headaches. We in Azure, we operate a service. We are fairly agile given our size, right? There's easily 10,000 people working on Azure.
Yikes. Hey,
Okay.
Brent, if you're done talking about your model, can you stop sharing your slides so people aren't just staring, the live stream isn't staring at the slide forever and ever and ever?
Yes, I can. Done.
Thanks, dude.
So the next thing then is going to figure out, okay, how can I remove or significantly cut back the PM role? Right. If PMs get talented at using the data to evaluate the next steps, and as well as more efficiently evaluate the opportunity of those next steps, that's the biggest problem. Is the other behavior we see is they go talk to a single customer, and that customer is a member of what you would call the vocal minority. You'll see them executing a huge amount of engineering resources, and then at the end of the day, not see the big business needles move significantly. Right? It's because you just spent half of your engineering team working on a one-off for 3 customers. Anyway.
So that Saturday Night Live skit where someone's talking about something, but not really the thing they think they're talking about. So let me do that with you slightly. So the problem is the taintedness of Microsoft a little bit here. Let me explain why. So we have, PM is an overloaded term. Program managers at Microsoft typically are some hybrid combination of typical program management, product management, and project management. And those are all, project management is Jira shepherding. I call it that because we just don't have project managers in our org. Our dev leads are perfectly capable of doing that themselves. But we do have product managers who are responsible for talking to the customer, defining the product, figuring out what we need to do for customers, and we could definitely help make them more data driven. And then engineering deliver on the development work for that. What program management does in most of the real world and in my org is one is to help the organization understand progress as a whole. So this is where you helped me with some stats a while back to help me get a better idea on how to The big insight there was I was trying to track velocity, but I had like hundreds of projects, and Brent, just without thinking about it, says, well, we'll just use the week started as the cohort. And it's like, oh, now it's easy. I just couldn't figure out where to start. So thank you again for that. To figure out what systemic problems the organization is encountering. And also to make sure, and in that, making sure that product managers, those who talk to the customers to find the product, and delivery owners, the engineering leadership across the org, are working together cohesively. And then once we identify those, any problems or obstacles or agile word impediments in the way product and engineering are working, I or my soon to be had small program management team will dive in on those. So one way, so I'll not pause there. I'll let you soak that in for a second. But one way, and it is not even 9 o'clock in the morning, and my neighbor has power tools going. Thanks. I got to close my window. Hold on a second. And now on the live stream, you can see the kind of shit that gets edited out. So,
to be fair, I couldn't hear it.
Okay, well, it's good. It bugs the crap out of me. But it's seriously, power tools before 9 a.m. That's, I mean, whatever. It's like an air blower, gas lawnmower or something. Anyway.
Right. It's landscaping. And if you go look it up, which unfortunately I have because I've had a lot of idle time on the weekends, landscaping is better in the early morning hours, Alan.
Anyway.
Don't you care about the plants?
So I do. Given that lens of program management, the way I'm running it, and I think it's more typical than the hybrid role at Microsoft. What I tend to use my program managers much like I use my quality coaches as agile coaches, helping teams figure out. Well, I have another tangent to go in there. Helping teams figure out what is blocking them. Like I can't scale enough to attend team retros, but I'm hoping my program managers and quality coaches, for example, can attend those retros, help people figure out how to find their problems and obstacles and impediments, and then make sure they have ideas on how to improve those. So yeah, actually, as I'm thinking about it, I haven't thought about it until right now, but the program managers on my team, of course, I'll probably stick them on some of the larger, hairy projects that I don't get enough time. They'll help me scale, because often for that part of my role, it's just a lot of coaching, some tracking, some metrics on things that I care about, but mostly a lot of coaching and helping people figure things out. That'll help me scale that quite a bit. So there's going to be a lot of overlap in mission between them and the people who are in sort of a quality coach consultant role on my team. So that's one way I think I can use them. One quick tangent, and I'm going to shut up for a minute, is I just did, it was stupidly easy to do, but we had some questions on like, how do we get teams to not get better estimates? That's a fool's errand, but to understand, actually it was, how do we get teams to do better planning? Because for me, I don't care about the estimate. I care that you actually did the right planning to reduce risk. And I did an experiment where I got 6 different teams to begin using story points for about 6 weeks, tracked some data on capacity, unplanned work, etc. And as expected, things were better. And the feedback from the team on how things went and changed was like over the top good. But all that happened was, because they had to do story points and the team had to agree on assigning a number, is they got better at planning. And I couldn't say, I'm going to do an experiment where I track how well teams are doing on improving planning, because that would be BS. But if I call it story points and teams are super happy and they feel like they're doing better planning and the work shows that, then all of a sudden people are excited about it. But doing more things like that to help teams become more, I don't want to say predictable, although it'll come out of it, but just help them, give them more tools to stumble towards success. So anyway, with that reframing, relensing, and an example there, curious on your thoughts on that.
So a big portion of what you said to me seems very again an exact match to what I'm working through. Right. I heard you mention that you're going to put them on sort of sticky problems, right? And
Smoke jumping.
yeah, I don't have enough coffee to follow that metaphor.
So they're going to go in and put out a fire somewhere. So we have an org of 3. It's not Azure 10,000, which I can look over at the listeners over here. A little ridiculous, right? So org of about 350 engineers, and at any one time there are right now 70, probably going to about 80 different projects in flight at once. Some of those are bigger than others, and some need a little bit more corralling than I have time to scale to do. So I would love to say, hey, person A, it looks like team B delivering these 5 projects that all work together could use a little help making sure they're doing the right planning and delivery. I want to understand what their obstacles are, see if there's systemic problems we can fix, things like that. I can put them on projects that I just don't have time to, I just don't have the time to scale to right now.
So you're the org you're inheriting, are they closer to sort of DevOps lifesite type problems? Not a feature owners?
It's how, no. So of course I will continue to run DevOps and docs and other stuff, other
Okay.
orgs, but program management, again, going back to what I want our organization to do is help the team understand progress, find obstacles to progress and velocity / predictability and quality, and find solutions for those over time. Some of those are just measuring things broadly across the org. Sometimes it's diving deep into part of the org to help them solve something, to help them solve a problem local to a smaller part of the org.
Okay.
But it's about software. It's software delivery. Everything from services that we update multiple times a day to websites and SDKs.
So the reason why I asked that question is because what I didn't hear you say is anything along the lines of searching for better, more valuable opportunities. So what I hear you say is searching for problems and putting out the fire, which is a bit reactive.
Yeah, actually, that's a good call out. So something you're saying, I think I interrupted before you finish saying what you're saying to say there should be a more proactive aspect to this role, and I think you're right. Please continue.
Oh, so right, I'm not going to load up the slide, but again, but the message that I try to get across there is that the power really comes from intuition plus data, right? Unfortunately, as with the tech that stands today, data AI doesn't have the ability to tell you, doesn't have the ability to construct game changers, right? Hey, I can't come up with a great example at the moment. There have been times in the past, and maybe it'll slowly page load as I tell the story, but in times in the past, we look at the telemetry and the scenario we targeted and the people who are active users don't align, right? I shift something out and I have a particular customer segment in mind, and I see that none of those customer segments are using the product, but there's this whole other customer segment that is, sending positive feedback, actively using it. And we're like, oh, wait a minute. We failed at building a solution for segment A, but we accidentally succeeded in building a solution for segment B. And actually, given that I've been in one conversation where we're like, wait a minute, are we targeting the completely wrong business? And it turns out that in that scenario, yes, we were. We repivoted, and it's thriving. Anyway, so yeah, I do think that we're on the same page. So in a lot of regards, I'm just coming at it from a data science aspect. I am partnering with throughout Azure. I am partnering with. It's probably closer to 10 versions of your future role, Alan, but at times it feels like thousands. Because they send their ICPMs to me too. Anyway, and we're all on the same page. That team brings sort of a wealth of history around customer problems, customer engagements, customer feedback. Here's the great way of saying it. The EQ and IQ. Right. How do we get EQ and IQ working together towards common goals? And I will say the program management org is often chock full of EQ.
Yes.
Right. The other problem is they're also often chock full of ego, and I'm sure none of your employees.
Well, again, you need to take your Microsoft skewed lens off there. So if you go back to the Weinberg quote, eventually it's always a people problem.
Yeah.
Horribly paraphrased, but when I wear the program management hat, that's what I do. It's about figuring out, getting people to reflect, discover what it is they're missing, and make changes.
So to push back on your pushback, right? I don't think I'm in a bubble when I say it's a common phenomenon in the program management org that several of those folks believe themselves to be the second coming of Steve Jobs.
Oh,
right?
Lord.
Right.
Again, those people exist in product management, not in program management.
Okay, so one of the problems is
in your
Microsoft.
head is, yeah.
No. Microsoft doesn't have a product management role.
Right. So,
And so you're taking over product management?
No, that's a whole other org.
Oh, okay.
So they work, and my job is to make sure that, and actually the biggest part of my job as a program manager hat is to make sure product and engineering are aligned and in sync.
So cat herding.
I make sure they work together. Actually, it could be. Luckily, it's not. It's just nudging them towards the proper reflection and figuring out the right ways to work together, the right ways to recognize dependencies, the right way to plan their work. Another example is I help them, and everybody uses the word MVP, and most of them mean different things. One of the things I do with my program manager hat is I help, again, with project management, I help them, I remind them what an MVP is and what it's for.
What is it for?
It's it's to learn it's to give every feature you can to match your competitor, because if you don't have all of your competitors' features, it's not an MVP.
Well, yeah.
What is the minimum thing we have to do in order to learn if we're heading in the right direction or not, or to validate or invalidate our smallest hypothesis?
Smallest? In general, yes.
What's the smallest amount of work we have to do to validate or invalidate our hypothesis?
What's the smallest amount of work we have to do to learn what we need to learn, to pivot or persevere? Right.
Yes. And we've talked about the concierge MVP here before. So sometimes it's like, let's just munge this on the back end, see if they like this. Let's put out the button. Oh, we even got as far as like, don't even do the button that says coming soon. Just let the button 404. That's less work.
So I will freely admit, I will probably continue to struggle on what is the distinction between a product and a program management, right? We call it all program management here. I have no doubt that the role is served here at Microsoft. It's just under the same mantra. So, however, if what you do with your team is say, look, I'm going to hold you accountable for the ROI of the engineering org. Your job is to provide the most the most business value using the least amount of engineering resources as possible. And validated value. That's the point of the MVP. Like if you ship something, and I don't want to hear a bunch of pretty speeches around this is one negative thing that happens at Microsoft every year in May, June is all the ship announcements come out, right? And teams have no, managers often have to differentiate on BS things. It's an old school culture that still to some degree persists here. It is, we celebrate shipping, not celebrate moving the needle. And that's the big thing that
can't you celebrate both?
You can, and you probably should. But they, in my mind, should not be weighted anywhere close to the same.
Yeah, and we don't load everything because I actually one of the things I do to support my alignment of product and engineering is I have a 30-minute sync meeting each week. It's where I go over products at risk, talk about why delays are in place. I offer a little bit of coaching in that meeting. It's a way to celebrate our culture of transparency and what's going on, and a way to accelerate learning. It's really more about building the culture and celebrating the culture than a status meeting. But I use it to help create alignment. But I also send out notes every week, and so at the top of that every week is projects completed. So we celebrate completion weekly, and we ship between. These are customer impacting things, so between 5 and 10 things a week across the org. So we celebrate that frequently, but we also celebrate in other means, moving the needle in a variety of different ways. So,
well, so it's an ends versus a means, right? In the last couple of months, I have doubled the size of my team. So I have a bunch of brand new folks, never worked at Microsoft before, and one of them is very high level, and he's sort of struggling because I think he got hired into a level of a band too high, and I'm like, look, he put in his connect or his review. As part of it, we communicate what we're going to go after. What is our personal mission in the Unity context, and what is our goal? And he's like, you know what? I am going to be really proud if at the end of the next 6 months, I have built a tool and it's generating insights like crazy. Okay. And I'm like, okay, I get that. However, I need you to understand, in the band that you're in, the business does not care. Right? What they care is that you're taking on and moving the needle. Anything else is just the means to an ends. Right? If you were a lower level, yeah, we care because it's part of you maturing and growing and being part of this, learning how to get things done in this particular culture. But at the band that he's in, it's yeah, a lot of those rules go out the window because it's already expected that you know how to do these things. You know how to build tools. You know how to produce software. You know how. So I'm trying to get his bar set to the correct place. Um, Likewise, like if you take your program management team, like I said, how if your team is sort of the subjective voice of the customer and the qualitative feedback, how do we close that loop? You need EQ and IQ to really master the scenario, says this man. I don't know that there's science that validates what I just said, but it is certainly a set of beliefs that have been baked into my experience.
I think this will be a continued. I want to move towards a wrap up here. I think this will be a continued
Oh yeah.
discussion. I again, I want to get it. We're about helping the team manage predictability, velocity, and quality, and we do that by aligning product and engineering and finding problems and solving those. So I want to be able to get you out of the Microsoft PM box and think about it's really much more of a agile coach and problem solver role. So, but I do want to talk about coming up is if we're responsible for delivery, predictability, and quality, the metrics I track around that, and see what you think about those, because I did put some metrics in place, and they make sense to me, and they're not driving the wrong behavior, so I like them.
What metrics?
I said I'd talk about them another time. That's
All
a
right.
teaser. And speaking of teasers, I had a meeting just before I teased this on the one of the 3 Slack group, which you can join. Mute if you're going to type. Actually, I can actually you're on your own audio track. I can fix that later. Anyway, the short answer is I was trying to get someone to move someone to my org, not a PM, a different role I manage, and I did not agree. They did not get them to agree to move them, but I did get them to agree to let the employee make the choice, which actually is better in my experience. They're gonna let the person choose whether they want to stay in their current org or move to my org. So I'm actually, even though I don't have an answer, it's still up in the air. I'm happy with that outcome.
Yeah, one of the positive things that has changed here at Microsoft, if you remember back in the day, there was the no poaching rule.
Yeah, that was gone before I left. You should call it
Yeah.
pooching?
Poaching.
Yeah. And now it's, you can, and I love, and this is I rank on Microsoft a little bit because, and honestly, JW's article on why he left, it's like the old guard are slowing down Microsoft. And I was working for a lot of the old guard, and it just drove me freaking batty towards the end. But I love that HR had the cojones to, on their site about management, that said poaching was okay. They didn't call it poaching. So, well, what happens if all my employees leave? And the answer is, well, you're not a manager anymore, are you?
Yeah, no, that same call out on HR Web says explicitly the only way to guarantee your employee stays is for you to ensure your environment is better than alternatives.
Yep.
That's it.
And I love that.
I do too. What happens if all your employees leave? Well, Darwinism kicks in. That's what happens. Right? And net benefit to the business. CS la vie.
However, and one last dig before we go is there's not always a good motivation to do that because of, and although stack ranking is over, the performance review process still says if you want more money and more options, you go be the best person on a crappy team, then go join a good team where you can learn more and deliver more.
Ish.
That was, well, I don't know what's changed.
Ish.
It was 100% true 3 years ago. And as I mentioned, the old guard is still there. But so I'll just plant that seed. You can add one rebuttal and then we're going to say goodbye.
We can just say
or was ish the rebuttal? Wouldn't that be great for a debate? Someone says, and furthermore, Article 2 states that, and you go, ish. Mic drop.
Yeah, I like doing, going back to third grade and just, respond with, nuh-uh.
I know you are, but what am I?
Nuh-uh.
All right, everyone. I hope the live stream was a success. We're going to do this again next time. And if you want to see the live stream, you're going to have to go join one of the 3 Slack group. You can go to moderntesting.org and find a link there. And thanks the 10 or 12 of you of the 3 that watched. I hope you get a chance to see or hear what it's like after I edit this crap.
Yeah, I'm puzzled. Should we be thanking them or apologizing to them?
Actually, apologizing. Yes, we're
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, we're very deeply sorry.
Please go back to watching Terminator.
Yeah, or The Expanse.
Oh yeah, The Expanse is awesome.
Okay.
All right. Hey, thanks, Brett.
You
See
bet.
you next time.
You too.
Did I press record? Fuck. I did.
Well, it's
that was purely for the live stream.
Does it stay recorded on YouTube? I mean, it seems like
Nope,
we have a
it
plan
doesn't stay
B.
recorded. I have the digital recording from the mix pre, so we're in good shape. That was fun, Brent. I feel like we tangented. Anyway, we drifted towards agreement. I will edit it into something cohesive. But I'm glad you got to go be alone in your office.
Yeah, me too.
I'm perfectly happy from here.
I still, so Ryan says cue outro. I wonder. I'm wondering. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out. Oh wait, let's do this.
We're still live casting. Hey, so
yeah.
This is bonus material.
Somebody, as soon as you hear this, say hi. 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000, 9 1,000, 10 1,000, 11 1,000, 12 1,000, 13 1,000, 14 1,000, 15 1,000, 16 1,000, 17 1,000, 18 1,000, 18. Wow.
About an 18-second delay.
Yeah.
Now they're all saying hi. So we should say goodbye.
20 seconds-ish.
Okay, man.
All right. I got to go. I got my next meeting's already started.
Me too. See you later.
Right,
thanks. I'm ending the live cast, I hope.
All right.